Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite and least favorite books of 2019. I know that it has been a little bit of time. It is quite a bit into January now, but I'm just gonna say better late than never because I still really want to make this video. So I was looking through all the books I read on Goodreads, and then I realized I only have 4 favorite books of the year and only 2 books that I really did not like. So I'm just combining the worst and my least favorite and favorite books into just one video. But yeah, it was actually surprisingly hard for me to find some books that are like my absolute favorites because I rate a lot of books 5 stars. But if that's good or bad, I don't know. So it's really hard for a book to be like one of my absolute favorite. It has to be like really amazing. It has to stick with me in some way. So it's actually really hard for a book to be my favorite. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and start talking about all of these books. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. So this follows a girl named April May, and one day she is walking in the middle of the night in Manhattan on her way back home, and she sees this random statue appear that she has never seen before, and it's like huge, and she starts taking a video of it and she posts it, and the next morning she wakes up and she has gone famous overnight and that video has gone viral. They quickly find out that these random mysterious statues have been randomly appearing all over the world, and no one really knows what's happening with them because they just one day sort of appeared. But yeah, this book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. This was like one of my first reads of the year, and it was absolutely amazing. One reason I really like this book is because it's so different from anything I've ever read, and it's so strange. Like, anytime I was reading the book, I did not know what was gonna happen next. Like, usually I can be like, oh, now they're gonna do this, now they're gonna do this, but now everything was like so different than what I'm usually like used to in books that it was a really fun read. I also talked a lot about fame and the consequences of that, so that conversation was also really interesting. But I think the whole mystery of these statues and that journey that April May takes into sort of figuring out what's going on with it is what I think was one of my favorite parts of the book, and just like how strange it was is like a highlight for me. The next favorite of the year is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book took the booktube world by storm. Everyone was reading it, everyone was loving it, so of course I wanted to read it to see if I loved it, and I did. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo tells the story of this really famous actress, Evelyn Hugo, and this journalist is doing a story on her, and Evelyn Hugo usually doesn't do interviews, so this is like a big deal in their world. And Evelyn Hugo is basically telling her life story through like each of the 7 husbands she had. The main character is also diverse. She's a bisexual Cuban American woman, and I think I loved this story so much. Like, I already like thinking about it, I want to reread it because it's just so good. I love the story of how even though it's like follows through the 7 husbands that she's had throughout her life, the story is really about her. It was just, I don't know, it was just so interesting to read about this fictional woman. And Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think, did a fantastic job of making Evelyn Hugo seem like a real person. You know, there was one scene that actually stuck out, was that when the journalist was going to Evelyn Hugo's house for the first time to interview her, she had this like moment when like Evelyn Hugo was walking down the stairs, and then she was like, oh my god, it's Evelyn Hugo. You know, like if a famous celebrity were to walk down the stairs and like you see them for the first time, you're like, oh my god, like I'm standing in front. Like, that's what I felt like. I was reading that scene and I was like, oh my god, it's Evelyn Hugo. Like, I don't know, it just seemed like such a real person, and I just love that about it. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a book that I definitely want to reread soon. The next book that is one of my favorites of 2019 is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. The Children of Blood and Bone follows our main character Zelie, and she remembers a world where there used to be magic, but magic has since disappeared from her land. But she has a chance to bring magic back with the help of a rogue princess, and they must outrun the crown prince who is hell-bent on eradicating magic for good. This book is everything I love about fantasy. I love fantasy so much, like it's my favorite genre, and this was just an amazing fantasy novel. It had beautiful writing, I could picture everything. It was just, I don't know, it stuck with me because I just had so much fun reading it, and the fact that it is the first book that I've read, at least, where it had a main cast that was all black was something that I've never read before, and I had a really good time reading about that. But yeah, I was just engaged the entire time. I don't know, I find it harder to talk about books that I really like because I feel like I don't have much to say I don't, it's kind of weird, but yeah, I just really loved the writing and the story, and I just love fantasy, and this book was just a really great fantasy novel. And my last favorite of 2019 was Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. So Nevermore follows our main character Morgan Crow, who was born on Eventide, which is the last day of each age and is the most unfortunate, unluckiest day to be born on. And the way this world works is that there are ages that last about, I think, 10 to 14-ish years. So she was born on the last day of an age, and she's cursed to die on the next last day of the age. So about 10-14 years later, she was destined to die. But on the last day on Eventide, she does not die. Instead, she is taken away to this magical land called Nevermore by this man named Jupiter North. And there she finds out that Jupiter has put her as a contender to become a member of this prestigious, illustrious society called the Wondrous Society. And in order to become a member of this society, she has to pass 4 trials. I really love this book because for me, it really brought back the magic of when I read when I was younger. Like, it's such a cute story, it's such a wonderful story, and I think I was really engaged throughout. I was really interested in what was going on with Morgan Crow and her story. I think it is a fantastic book. The world, the characters, everything is just amazing, and that's why I love this book. Like, it's so hard to talk about books that I really love, but in short, I really loved all of these books. They're all fantastic, and yeah, you should all read them. Now on to my least favorite books. I have 2 books to talk about, and both of them I just remember disliking a lot for different reasons. The first book that I'm actually going to be talking about is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. So this book follows 2 characters, Nadia and Saeed, and they both have this like secret fertile love affair, and their country is on the brink of a civil war, and when that war actually plays out, they have to leave, and it's their journey basically. The one reason I didn't like this book because I thought it would be more plot focused and plot driven with the whole Civil War idea and them trying to escape it, but it was actually much more about the characters. It was slower. It was about Nadia and Saeed, and I don't know, it was just a different book than what it kind of marketed. I don't know, it was kind of weird. I was just expecting something completely different than what it was. Also, it has some like weird magical realism element to it where they go through these doors that take them to different places. I don't know if they're supposed to be actual doors, or not like actual doors. Like, is it supposed to represent them going there, or is it an actual magical door? I'm not sure. It was just kind of weird, and that's why I didn't like it. It was just a big different book than what I was wanting to read, and it was just a lot slower than I wanted. I wanted a more fast-paced, more intense book of like trying to escape this war that's in your homeland. Yeah, that's why I didn't really like it, and that's actually the only book, like, the reason I only have 2 books where I really didn't like them is because I rarely dislike a book. Like, I usually find some parts of it that I like, and now that I think about it, there were some parts, but for the majority, I just didn't enjoy it. And the next book that I'm going to be talking about, and the last book of this video, is Cersei by Madeline Miller. I really disliked this book because it is supposed to be like an epic, a long story of this minor, I think she's a goddess named Cersei, and her story. And what I found to be like what I really disliked was that the writing was so pretentious. I know some people like that writing style. I completely did not. Sometimes it took me a long time to read this book because I just had to go through and be a little slower in my reading, so I understood what was going on. Sometimes I didn't know what was going on because I was just bored, and I just didn't want to make the effort to like go back and reread parts that I didn't understand. I just didn't have the energy for that for this book. And just overall, the story was really slow. It was supposed to be slow, I guess, but that style didn't mesh with me. The writing again was pretentious. It was a little dense. It took a lot of concentration and effort for me to read, which I didn't think that's what the book would be like, but it was. So yeah, this is actually, like, now that I think about it, if I think of like one book that I really disliked, it was Cersei. I don't know, I thought I really would like it because a lot of people really like Cersei, and that's why I was really excited to read it. But, you know, Sometimes you don't like books that other people like. But yeah, that is it for all the books that were my favorites and least favorite of the year. Let me know down below what was your favorite book and your least favorite book of the year if you had any. And that is for this video. I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next time. Bye!